All right, so I gotta teach you something new today. It's complementary angles. So let's write down complementary angles. Does anybody know what complementary angles are? What would be reflex? All right, so let's define it. Complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So it's not one angle, it is two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So two angles that add up to 90 degrees. When I add them up, it equals 90 degrees. Now what does 90 degrees look like? What do you mean two straight lines? What does 90 degrees look like? Right. Oh, right. So like an L. Sophia, can you turn off your iPad? Thank you. Okay, so this, the L with the little box, is a right angle, right? That's a right angle. But the definition is how many angles? Two angles. So two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So here is my 90 degrees, but instead of being one angle, it's actually divided into two angles. So this angle and this angle together make 90 degrees. So I'm going to call this like angle A, and this one's angle B. So the definition says two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So angle A plus angle B is equal to what? 90 degrees. So we're going to be doing some actually pretty simple math to start with. All you have to do is when you add these two angles, it's going to equal 90 degrees. So complementary angles are two angles that equal 90 degrees. Not 100, not 50. Together make 90 degrees. Are we okay? I'm going to start you off really easy. Super, super easy. So let's draw a 90 degrees. Okay. But let's divide it into two. Okay, so there's two angles. When it's two angles that make up a 90 degrees, they're called complementary. So we're going to call this X, and this one 36 degrees. So I want to know, without you guys shouting out, because I know some of you are super awesome and do this really quickly, without shouting out, I want to find out what X is. Well, I know that if I go X plus 36, I'm going to equal 90 degrees, right? So if I add these two angles up, I'm going to get 90 degrees. So how do I get X all by itself? Well, what do I have to do? Subtract. Very good. Yes, I know I'm making it longer, but there's a reason why I'm making it longer. To torture you. No, I was kidding. When we get into level 20, you're going to need to do this. Okay. Number one mistake kids do is they don't borrow correctly. If I have 0, can I take away 6? If I have 0, can I take away 6? No, what do I have to do? Borrow. So what does a 0 become? A 10. And I borrowed from the 9. What does the 9 become? 8. Okay? So I cannot subtract this. I have to borrow. The 0 becomes a 10. The 9 becomes an 8. Now I can subtract. What's 10 minus 6? And then 8 minus 3? 5. So that means that this angle measures 54 degrees. Did I use a protractor? No. Giselle, that's no crying in math. So we don't use a protractor for this. It's just drawn by hand and we do math. So instead of, you cannot do this. Oh, let me just measure it. Because did I use a protractor to draw it? No. You have to use the math. All right? Okay, let's try another one. Ooh, I'm going to make the L go the other way. Look at that L. It's beautiful. 78 and x. Okay, these are called complementary angles, which means two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So these two angles add up to 90 degrees. Now I want to know, what is that missing angle? So I'm going to write an equation just like I did before. I'm going to write an equation just like my previous example. So I'm going to write down x plus 78 is equal to what? 90. Why is it 90? Because this looks like an L. And L's are 90 degrees. All right, draw your bars. All right, did we borrow correctly? Can we do it before I do it? So literally, it's all you're doing is subtracting. Pretty easy, right? Hopefully. So what does a 0 become? 10. What does a 9 become? 8. Notice I'm not asking you to use a calculator. You gotta do this by hand. And what did you guys get? 12 is equal to x. So that means that angle is 12 degrees. Did I use a protractor? Nope. All right. Were you okay with level 1? All right, so let's practice level 1 before we move on to level 2. Now, I might give you level 2 today, or I might give it to you tomorrow. Who knows? Okay, so you have this worksheet, super easy. X plus 45 equals 90. Number 1, so you can draw your bars. Minus 45, minus 45. The number 1 mistake is the borrowing, so be very careful with the borrowing. It's always going to be 10 and 8 for these problems. It's always going to be 10 and 8 for these problems. 10 and 8, 10 and 8. All right, what'd you guys get for number 1?
45.
Oh, that was easy. So the 0 becomes a 10, the 9 becomes an 8, 10 minus 5 is 5, 8 minus 4 is 4, so x equals 45. Miss Amelia, do I have to show this work? Yes.